Yeah, and it's very fascinating to look at where, and I talked about this a bit on a previous podcast of where news coverage is now, and where these news companies are, where a lot of people don't trust news companies. They're just trying to generate clicks, right? A lot of them, they have these very clickbaity titles, like
Yep.
they're trying to generate clicks because they're trying to make money, because they're for-profit companies. That's how it works. And it's become to a point where a lot of people won't trust certain media outlets or other media outlets, and everyone's biased, and it's not just facts delivered to people to make up their own mind. And I think it's
Yep.
interesting that if you rewind it, right, if you go back to like the 40s and the 50s, people got their news from the newspaper, but they started getting their news from the movies. And so it
Movie.
was interesting.
Okay.
So during the war, especially during the war, the government took over the distribution of essentially news, right? They wanted to control so that people, when they got the news, it was what was going on in the war. And there was a very few film studios that were allowed to operate during the war. They wanted to convert all of this effort into other
And
areas.
this is World War II, right?
Yeah, this
This
is
is, you
World
said
War
the
Two.
40s?
Yep, this is World
Okay.
War Two. Walt Disney worked out a deal with the government, and they were one of, I think, three studios that were allowed to remain open, with the caveat that they needed to do propaganda. And so the military actually moved into the Walt Disney studio, and they were like it was really weird. They were like standing in the animators rooms, like watching them, and like it was turned into basically like a military base, because they became a propaganda machine for the government, right? So they could be targeted essentially. um so what this meant is that before they would show these Disney movies or their animated cartoons or whatever it was in the movie theater, they would do a pre-roll, and the pre-roll would be all the news that was going on in the war. So it'd be like an announcer, like actual news footage. They'd show stuff and talk about how the war was progressing, and then you would get into maybe either propaganda pieces, like there's a Donald Duck in like a Hitler bomb factory. Like there's these pieces that they made specifically, but before that. So you went to the movies, you got basically your evening news, right? That was what's going on in the war, and then you watched your Walt Disney movie. So people gain. This is a big reason why Disney got this image of a company to be trusted. They're a company for American families. This whole idea, because when you went to the movie theater to watch a Disney movie, you got what the news was, and there was news throughout your consumption of their media. So it's just really interesting to see that people went from like actually like trusting all the news that they received, right? Because the government was helping regulate that, and they were very, I feel like they were a lot more trustworthy of companies. Nowadays you have people like, and I don't know if this is just because now we know how corrupt companies are, or if they've
Yeah.
genuinely gotten bigger and therefore corruption because they are bigger. So it's
Yeah.
just I'm curious, like, do you have the general outlook that a lot of companies are very corrupt and there's a lot of shady shit going on?
Yeah, I think that I think that just the platform itself, like the the media output is slanted in whatever it is. So like if it's Fox, it's right. If it's CNN, it's left. And I've taken like polls from people that are much older than me. Just like
Right.
I'm like, hey, like how do you feel about media right now? Like, do you feel it's more polarized than it's ever
Trustworthy,
been?
or oh
And
yeah.
yeah, and everybody unanimously says that it is more polarizing and it's more right or left than it's ever been prior,
Right.
and nothing centrist. Like absolutely nothing is
Yeah.
centrist.
And
And I
that's
think that
crazy.
to me that's crazy. You because I remember growing up, like I would watch Jeopardy, I'd watch Wheel of Fortune, and this I'm talking very young, like
Yeah, yeah.
sub 10 years old, and I would watch that, and then and the news was prior. So you'd
Hmm.
watch the news, you'd find out what's going on, you'd watch this, you'd watch that, and now it's like I can't even watch that. Like I literally cannot. You talked about priors, like you feel like it. People have the opinion that the media is slanted. I do not watch the news at all. I
Hmm.
find it from articles, and then what I'll do is I'll try to read a large accumulation of articles. Like I'll try
Right.
to read 5, 6 different articles on a topic, whether it's
My
from
my favorite thing to do,
extreme.
and I'm not sure if
Yeah,
you do this, is if I'm reading an article that from Fox, I'll go and I'll look at like a CNN article about the same subject,
absolutely,
or if I see like
absolutely.
an MS, and then I go and sort to like disseminate, like, okay, they both said this thing, so it's probably true, but this side said this and this side said this, so that's probably bullshit. Like, it's just, it's sad that we have to do that, and there's not, like, especially in capitalist America, damn it, you want to make some money, make a truly centrist, fact-only publishing.
Please, for the love of fucking God.
For the love of God, that doesn't generate very much money, and I think that's why that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and so
because
from
if I'm a crazy right winger or I'm a crazy left winger, and I get this article that's, you know, either Donald Trump is, you know, defending America and getting out corruption, or Donald Trump is, you know, a fascist and horrible, and I believe that already, and I see that, I'm like, oh yeah. Give me that. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Pump me up. Yeah, I'm right. Yeah. Oh, the media agrees. Ah, yeah. Like, I feel like that's why. And if it was just truly centrist and it's like, here's what happened today, here are the facts, no one would click on it, because who wants to learn the facts when you can get the facts with a little bit of, you know, a little bit extra spice on top.
A little bit of seasoning. Yeah. Just get a little bit of whatever it is on there. Like, bullshit. It's fucking terrible. Like, it's so bad. From one of my old coworkers used to swear by this. I've never validated it, but used to swear by this. He said that foreign media coverage of America was the best coverage of American, like, current events. Oh, he swore by Russian media. He swore by Russian media. That's what he claimed.
Okay, nice.
Russia. I was like, they literally do not have our democratic interest in mind. Like, they literally should be undermining us 24/7.
They're a democracy. Putin has been legally voted in for like 50 years. He's not a dictator, okay? He's a president.
Legally. President. Yeah. I'm going to end up getting hit tomorrow, and you're going to be like, wow, what happened? I'm going to be like...
It's okay, we got the podcast content. We got the podcast content. That's what was important. You made your contribution.
Please put legally on my tombstone. And I'll be like, that's it. Worth it.
Okay, so I kind of wanna now that we're kind of towards the tail end of this, I know we're taking up more time of yours than I promised. I wanted to get a final story about how I heard from a little birdie that you were really deep into Hearthstone a while back, and I kind of want to get the breakdown on that, and you know some interesting content around that, because I think that's super interesting. So for those of you who don't know, Hearthstone is the same company that makes World of Warcraft, Blizzard. They made essentially it's a card game. So think Yu-Gi-Oh type, you know, Magic the Gathering, these type of card games, but you know, virtual. It's a video game, way more complex than that, way more in depth and all of that stuff. But you know, go ahead.
Yeah. So I was in I was just working a retail job at the time, just kind of whatever, and I got in a situation where a customer came in and literally attempted to kill me. She tried to snap my neck from behind. Crazy situation. Like, literally crazy.
Why?
Like, yeah, to steal a pair of Beats headphones that were in a cage. It's crazy. Yeah, it was nuts.
Oh,
and and think of it like, just come up behind me. Like, there was nothing I could do. Like, I was just getting a pair of Beats headphones. Long story short, I was out on infinite paid, like, and I mean infinite, like, I was written as to, I basically get my 100% paycheck for infinite as long as I'm getting like psych eval for what is the time, because when shit like that happens, they're like, oh shit, like, it's bad.
Yeah.
And so I started doing that. I was out on psych eval, and the one thing that I do is, like, the video games have always been here. I was like, I'm going to play Hearthstone. It was like just one of the things I decided at the time, and I started playing. And I started playing an insane amount of hours a day because I had literally nothing else to do. I didn't want to talk to anybody. It was like, because you're dealing with what is like a lot of various emotions and like a lot of stuff going on. You're like,
right.
This was something that
were you officially like diagnosed with anything like PTSD or
PTSD? Yeah.
PTSD,
yeah, I have PTSD for and it's still like I've various. I went to therapy for like years post of that. I did a small stint prior to that, but it's one of the things that's like documented on my chart.
That's crazy.
And from that, I was like, I deal with stuff like self, like that's usually how I deal with anything major.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, how do I deal with this? And I like self-reflect and you grow and you develop, and that's just personally how I am. Some people are like, I need to talk about it with other people. Me, I like internalize. I like to spend time as to like reflecting and stuff like that.